The sleeping beauty of Zura 9 for more than 300 years, the people of Zura 9 spoke her name in whispers. Princess Aerolith, the last light of the Zuran Empire. Her body lay sealed inside a glowing crystal chamber, hidden deep beneath the ruins of her palace. No one could wake her. Not the ancient healers. Not the alien scientists. Not even the most powerful machines. She slept, unmoving. Untouched by time. Many came. All failed. Then a human came. His name was Draven Wells, an explorer. From Earth, he wasn't a hero. He wasn't a soldier, just a scavenger looking for alien tech to sell back home. He had no idea his steps were about to change history. The air was dry and cold when Draven arrived on Zura 9. Storms had destroyed most of the planet. Skeletons of giant cities stood like haunted towers in the dust. His ship landed near an old temple marked with strange golden symbols. Inside the temple, it was silent. Dead silent. Draven's boots echoed as he walked down long, cracked hallways. He used a small light drone to guide him. There were murals on the walls, strange alien art that showed tall, elegant beings with glowing eyes and crowns. One picture stood out. It showed a beautiful woman with silver skin, her long hair floating like smoke lying in a glass bed. He didn't know it then. But it was her. Princess Aerolith. The door to the chamber was sealed, but when Draven touched the panel, it suddenly lit up. The old systems activated. A low hum filled the air. The walls began to move. The floor opened into a staircase. Draven looked around, unsure. His instinct said, "Leave now." But curiosity pulled him in. He followed the stairs deep underground. What he found was something out of a dream. A massive round room, lit by glowing blue crystals. In the center, floating above a platform, was the crystal chamber. Inside it, she slept. Her body was perfect, untouched by time. Her skin was smooth and pale, almost glowing. Her eyes were closed, her hands folded on her chest. She wore an ancient dress made of living light. Draven stood frozen. "What is this?" He moved closer. His reflection stared back at him in the crystal glass. He didn't mean to touch it, but his hand reached out. His fingers brushed the cold surface. That's when everything changed. The room shook. Lights flickered. Alarms, long dead, screamed back to life. And inside the crystal, her fingers twitched, slowly. Her eyes opened. They were glowing violet. Draven stumbled back in shock. "No way," he whispered. Princess Aerolith blinked. Her gaze moved slowly, resting on the human in front of her. She didn't speak. Her lips didn't move. But a voice entered Draven's mind. Soft, ancient, and tired. "You are not of this world." Draven backed away. "What the hell is going on?" The crystal shell cracked and then shattered into dust. Aerolith floated gently down and stood on the floor. Her feet touched ground for the first time in centuries. She swayed like someone waking from a deep dream. Draven watched in disbelief. Are you alive?" he asked. Her voice was like music. "I was dreaming. But your touch called me back." Draven couldn't believe it. Hundreds, maybe thousands had tried. And he, a simple scavenger from Earth, had done what no one could. "Why me?" he asked. Aerolith looked at him with ancient sadness. "Because only a human could." Draven's heart raced. He didn't understand. None of this made sense. Why would a human, someone from a faraway planet, be the key? She took a step toward him, her eyes searching his face. "Your kind was once forbidden to enter the vaults. But you came anyway. That changed the future." Suddenly, the chamber's walls lit up with new symbols. A holographic display showed other planets. Zura 9, Earth. And a warning symbol, flashing red. Danger was coming. "What is that?" Draven asked, pointing. Aerolith frowned. "They felt me wake up." "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at him with something between fear and hope. "You must leave this place, Draven of Earth," she said quietly. "They will come for me. And for you." But Draven had already made a decision. Something deep inside told him this was bigger than him, bigger than any treasure he could ever find. This girl, this sleeping alien princess, was important, and somehow she needed him. "I'm not leaving you here," he said, standing straight. Aerolith gave a slow, sad smile. "Then you have already begun the path of kings." She speaks. In dreams that night, Draven couldn't sleep. He had moved Aerolith to his ship, hiding her in the medbay. She hadn't said another word since they left the temple. Her body was weak, her movements slow. She lay still, breathing softly like she was dreaming again. Draven sat nearby, staring at her with a million questions in his mind. Why him? Why now? And what did she mean by, "They felt me wake up"? He tried to rest in his pilot chair, but his eyes closed only for a moment, and suddenly he was no longer on his ship. He stood in a vast, endless white field. No sky, no ground, just silence. Then he heard it. A voice, soft and smooth, echoing through the space. "Do not be afraid, Draven of Earth." He spun around, and there she was. Princess Aerolith stood before him, glowing with a faint silver light. Her eyes were calm, her body full of strength now. But she wasn't speaking with her lips. The voice came straight into his head. "You're inside my dream?" he asked. She nodded. "This is the only way I can speak. My body is not yet strong. Enough in your world." Draven took a step closer. "What are you? What happened to you?" Aerolith looked to the endless white around them. "I was betrayed by my own blood. My sister feared I would take the throne. She made a deal with the Void Walkers and put me to sleep using forbidden technology. The stasis chamber kept me alive, but the curse kept everyone else out. Except you." Draven frowned. "Why me?" "You are human," she said, as if that explained everything. "That doesn't mean anything." She stepped closer. "Your species is young, unpredictable, and not bound by the old laws of this galaxy. You think with freedom, that makes you dangerous and powerful." Draven rubbed the back of his neck. "Great. So I'm just lucky?" She looked into his eyes. "Or cursed. Because now I know I'm awake, and they will come." "Who?" Draven asked again. Aerolith hesitated. Then she raised her hand, and the white space around them shifted. Suddenly they stood in a dark battlefield. Burning ships fell from the sky. Massive alien machines walked through fire, crushing cities beneath their feet. Flying beasts screamed across the horizon, and in the distance a shadow larger than mountains opened glowing eyes of pure red. "The Void Walkers," she said. "They feed on life, on fear. They were once bound behind the stars, but they're awake now. Just like me." Draven felt cold. "You're saying they'll come because you woke up?" Aerolith nodded. "And they will destroy Earth to stop you from helping me." Draven clenched his fists. "There has to be a way to stop them." "There is," she said. "But I need something. A piece of me was lost before I slept. A memory. A crystal." "Where is it?" he asked. She pointed to the stars above them. "It's on Earth." Suddenly the dream began to shake. The white field cracked like glass. Aerolith's voice turned urgent. "They are breaking into your ship." "What? Wake up, Draven!" Everything vanished. Draven's eyes snapped open. The ship's warning sirens were blaring. The lights blinked red. Smoke filled the cockpit. He grabbed his blaster and rushed to the medbay. The door was open. Aerolith was gone. He followed the trail, light footprints glowing on the floor, until he reached the cargo bay. There, in the doorway, stood Aerolith. She was awake. Really awake. Her body no longer weak, her posture graceful and steady. In her hand, a pulse of soft light floated, some kind of shield. She faced the entrance ramp. Draven stepped beside her. "What's happening?" "They sent a scout," she said, "to test your defense. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through. The metal hull and a black claw punched through the side of the ship. A scream, deep and unholy, followed it. Draven raised his blaster. Whatever that thing is, it picked the wrong ship. Aerolith's voice was steady. Stay behind me, I will speak in the tongue of the ancients. Maybe it will hesitate. And if it doesn't? She smiled faintly. Then you will see why they locked me away. The human key. The black claw slammed again. Draven aimed, but the metal bent like paper. The ship's system screamed warnings. Hull breach, oxygen leak, power drop. But Aerolith didn't flinch. She stepped forward, raised her hand, and whispered something in a strange language that made the lights flicker. For a second, time slowed. The air around her shimmered, then exploded outward in a silent shockwave. Black Claw was gone. Outside the ship, a massive alien figure stumbled back, growling. It was tall and insect-like, covered in black armor, eyes glowing red. It screeched and vanished into the mist. Aerolith lowered her hand. That was just a scout. Others will come. Draven stood frozen, heart pounding. You just blew that thing back without touching it. She turned. Only because you were near. He blinked. What does that mean? You're not just a human, Draven, she said calmly. You're the key. Later they flew low across the ruined skies of Zura 9, heading toward the old capital ruins. Aerolith guided him through memories. She knew the way like a song burned into her soul. This planet was once filled with light and voices, she said softly. Now it is only silence. Draven looked down at the shattered cities. You said I'm the key. Key to what? To unlocking what was sealed, what was stolen from me. They landed near the remains of the Royal Archives, tall stone towers half swallowed by vines and dust, a place long forgotten. Inside, ancient machines slept under layers of sand. Aerolith led him into a vault lined with silver carvings. She pointed to one. It showed a glowing cube. Inside the cube was a symbol, half human, half alien. Two shapes, one like Aerolith, one like Draven. This is the Covenant of Stars, she said. A code written thousands of years ago. It speaks of two species, one old, one new, who, together, can awaken the lost powers of the galaxy. Draven frowned. So I'm some prophecy? No, she replied. You're the mistake that was never supposed to happen, but happened anyway. A deep vibration echoed through the vault. Aerolith spun around. The door is waking. A massive wall of crystal slowly lit up. It scanned them both. Red lights blinked across Aerolith's body. But when it reached Draven, everything turned blue. The symbols began to move. A hidden passage opened behind the wall. Draven stared. I didn't do anything, Aerolith whispered. Your blood did. They entered a hidden chamber. In the center was a glowing pod, smaller than Aerolith's old stasis chamber but more dangerous. Inside it floated a silver crystal, shaped like a tear. My memory crystal, she said. My true self is inside. Draven stepped closer. Then let's take it. But the moment he touched the pod, it reacted violently. A voice screamed from all sides. Unauthorized access. Purge initiated. Walls opened. Mechanical arms shot out, sparking with energy. Draven pulled back, but the room sealed shut. Aerolith grabbed his hand. Stay calm. She closed her eyes. A pulse of light surged from her body and spread through. Draven like a warm fire. For a moment their minds touched. He saw flashes. Her childhood, the betrayal, the moment of sleep. When she opened her eyes, he was glowing. She nodded. Now try again. Draven reached for the pod. This time, it opened. The crystal floated into his hand, pulsing with warmth, but as soon as it touched his skin, it burned. He fell to his knees, gripping his head. Visions filled his mind, stars collapsing, cities falling, a throne of fire, and Aerolith screaming in pain. Then, silence. When he opened his eyes, Aerolith was standing in front of him, tears in her eyes. You saw what I saw? Draven nodded. It's more than memory. It's a warning. Yes, she whispered. And we don't have much time. Outside, the skies darkened. A ship entered the atmosphere. Massive, silent, blacker than space. Draven stepped to the window. Aerolith joined him. The Voidwalkers are here, she said. Draven looked at her, then at the crystal in his hand. Then let's make them regret waking you. Hunters from the past, they came without a sound. The skies above Zura 9 turned black, not from clouds but from the shadows of Voidwalker ships. Their vessels didn't roar like human machines. They moved like ghosts, swallowing light as they passed. From the cockpit window, Draven saw one of the crafts hovering above the ruins. It didn't blink. It didn't fire. It simply watched. They know I have the crystal, Aerolith whispered, standing beside him, and now they want me gone. Forever. Draven gripped his blaster. Let them come. Aerolith placed a hand on his arm. You don't understand. They are not just soldiers. They're hunters. Made for one task, chasing what should never wake again. Suddenly, a transmission cracked through the ship's radio, static mixed with a voice, deep and inhuman. Return the fallen flame, or burn with her. Draven looked at Aerolith. Was that meant for us? She nodded slowly. They know I'm awake and they fear what happens next. Within minutes, the ship was surrounded. Black armored figures moved through the ruins, 8 feet tall, skin like ash, and eyes glowing white with no pupils. They moved with perfect silence, their weapons folded into their arms like living metal. Draven activated the external shields. Can we fight them? Aerolith looked grim. They don't fear death. They eat it. She turned and opened a hidden panel in the ship's wall. Inside was something ancient, her own armor. Elegant, silver, glowing along the seams with soft, purple light. As she began to put it on, Draven watched in awe. You were a warrior. I was a princess, born during war. And now, I am the last queen of a fallen world. As she locked the final piece of her armor in place, the ship shook violently. Something had landed on top of it. The roof dented, then cracked. Then, boom! A figure dropped into the ship through the ceiling, tall, sharp, and humming with deadly energy. Draven fired. The blaster bolt hit the creature's chest, but it didn't fall. It only turned its head slowly and smiled with a mouth full of black teeth. Aerolith stepped forward. You are not welcome here. The hunter moved fast, faster than anything Draven had ever seen. But Aerolith was faster. She raised her hand. Flash of violet light burst out, slamming the creature into the wall. Draven shouted, What do we do? They'll tear the ship apart. We run, she said, but not to escape, to finish this. They blasted off the surface of Zura 9, barely escaping the explosion that followed. The hunter they left behind had triggered a self-destruct core, wiping out the ruins of the Royal Archive. Aerolith stared in silence as her history burned. Why would they destroy it? Draven asked. To erase what I was, she said. To keep me from remembering who I must become. Draven placed a hand on her shoulder. But they failed. You're still here. She turned to him. And so are you, the human key. You're more part of this than you think. He raised an eyebrow. Why do you keep calling me that? Because your presence unlocked the memory crystal. No alien, no machine, no bloodline could do it. Only you. That means something. Suddenly, the computer beeped. A new signal appeared. A human one. Wait. That's an Earth colony, Draven said. It's sending a distress signal. Aerolith's face darkened. The hunters have found another path. He checked the coordinates. That's not just any colony. That's where I was born. The realization hit him hard. They're not just coming for you anymore, he said. They're coming for me too. She nodded. Because now, you are linked to me. As the ship moved toward the Earth colony, Aerolith showed Draven something else. An old prophecy, hidden deep within the crystal. It showed two figures standing back to back, one human, one Zuran, fighting a storm of shadows. Below them, the stars formed a ring. It said the ring can only be opened by two beings in balance, she said. One from before the fire. One from after. Draven stared at the ring symbol. What's inside? She looked at him with a calm, steady gaze. The weapon to end the Voidwalkers. Memories reborn. The ship raced through silent space. Stars passed like falling sparks. But inside the cockpit, it was quiet. Too quiet. Draven sat beside Aerolith, watching her stare out the window. Her hands were folded, her body calm. But something was wrong. Her eyes flickered, not with light but with pain. Are you okay? Draven asked. Aerolith didn't speak. Instead, she whispered, I remember now. Hours earlier, while Draven slept, Aerolith had used the memory crystal. It unlocked parts of her mind once sealed, memories stolen and buried deep. She saw her sister standing in the royal gardens, offering her a fruit laced with the stasis virus. She remembered the betrayal, the guards turning their weapons, the cold sting of sleep as she fell into the crystal chamber. She remembered her mother's face fading in the distance, forced to watch as the Voidwalkers entered their world. She remembered her own screams, frozen inside her mind for centuries. Back in the cockpit, Draven noticed a tear slide down her cheek. You don't have to carry it all alone, he said softly. She looked at him. You are kind, Draven. But you don't understand. Then explain it to me. Aerolith turned away. The last time I tried to protect my people, I lost everything. And now I must lead a war without an army, without a home. He leaned forward. You're not alone now. That made her pause. You really mean that? She asked. I didn't come this far just to leave you behind. She studied him closely. Then you must know this. If I die again, I don't want to sleep. I want to stay in your memories. Draven felt a lump in his throat. That won't happen. I'll protect you. But even as he said it, the warning lights blinked on. Boom! The ship rocked hard. A Voidwalker mine had activated near the colony. We're close, Draven said. Hold tight. They landed near the Earth colony, a small outpost surrounded by dry mountains. Everything was dark. No lights, no movement, dead quiet. Draven grabbed his gear and stepped out first. Aerolith followed, her armor glowing softly in the dusty night. They walked through empty buildings, past fallen fences and broken signs. Then they saw it. Dozens of colonists, all frozen in place. Not dead, not asleep, just paused, like statues, mid-step. Draven knelt next to a young girl, her eyes wide with fear. This isn't natural. Aerolith placed a hand on the girl's head. This is Voidwalker magic, she said. They're feeding on the colony's life energy. Why didn't they just destroy it? Because fear tastes better than ashes. Sound echoed nearby. Something was coming. From the shadows, a tall figure walked toward them, one of the hunters. But this one was different. It wore ancient armor, marked with Zuran symbols. Aerolith's eyes widened. No, it can't be. Draven aimed his blaster. You know him? She stepped forward slowly. That was my father's general, Commander Kale. He died, protecting me. The hunter spoke in a broken voice. The princess awakens. Aerolith's voice cracked. Kale, what did they do to you? He lifted his head. His face was still half human, half alien, but his eyes were wrong. Voidwalker corruption. I held the line, until they turned me. Now I serve the shadow flame. Draven whispered, They're turning her people into weapons. Kale raised his arm. His weapon formed from his skin, long, jagged, and glowing black. Aerolith whispered, I'm sorry, old friend. Then she charged. What followed was more than a battle. It was a test of will. Kale fought like a storm, but Aerolith moved like lightning. Her blades, formed of light and memory, clashed with his corrupted steel. Draven couldn't help her directly, but he noticed something. Each time Kale struck near the crystal on Aerolith's belt, he hesitated. Draven shouted, "The crystal!" He remembers. Aerolith nodded. She reached into the crystal, pulling not a weapon but a memory, a vision. She showed it to Kale, a time before war, a small moment, the general teaching a young Aerolith to ride a hover beast. He laughed then. She laughed too, and for 1 second, Kale lowered his blade. "I remember," he whispered. "I was more than this." Then he stepped back into the shadows and exploded into dust. Silence returned. Draven moved to Aerolith's side. That memory saved him? She stared at the dust, blowing in the wind. No, it saved me. The awakening storm. The colony was silent again. The statues of frozen humans slowly blinked, then gasped for air, falling to their knees. The Voidwalker's spell had broken the moment Kale vanished, but Aerolith didn't celebrate. She stood still, shaking, not from fear, but from something awakening inside her. Draven watched her quietly. He had seen pain before, in soldiers, in survivors, in dying eyes, but never like this. Aerolith stared at her hands, and they glowed brighter than ever before. Not the soft purple light he had grown used to. This was different. Wild. Uncontrolled. Stormlight. Her fingers sparked. Her breath became fog. Her armor pulsed like a heartbeat. Aerolith. Draven stepped closer. "Are you okay?" I don't know," she said, voice trembling. When Kale remembered, something in me snapped loose. Snapped? She nodded. The last seal inside me is gone. Lightning cracked across the sky, though no storm clouds were present. Suddenly, a portal opened above them, a tear in the air itself, black and violet, and from it, a giant figure descended. Not a hunter, not a machine, a void-born titan, flesh and metal mixed with wings like knives and a face that wore no face at all. The colonists screamed and ran. Draven raised his blaster, but his hands trembled. Even from a distance, the titan's presence crushed the air. It wasn't just big. It was wrong. Aerolith's eyes went fully white. Her voice became deeper. "Get them to safety." Draven grabbed, a boy and his mother. "What about you?" "I am the storm now," she whispered. "Let it break." Then she flew, straight at the titan. Her body turned to light, pure, raw, ancient energy. The kind even the Voidwalkers feared. The sky lit up. Her strike hit the titan with a flash so bright, the mountain peaks glowed. The ground trembled. Draven shielded his eyes, yelling, "What the hell are you?" He could barely see her now, just a glowing shape in the air, dancing between the titan's blows like lightning through clouds. She was faster than before, stronger, like something that was never meant to be caged. Down below, the colonists stared, in awe. One man whispered, "Is she a god?" Draven didn't answer, because a second voice, inside his mind, spoke again. "She is more than that, and you are bound to her now." Draven froze. Who said that? The voice came from the crystal he carried. He pulled it from his pack. It now pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. He fell to his knees as visions hit him again. But this time, they were his. His past. His childhood sickness. The day he almost died. The moment a strange visitor came to his parents and said, "He's not entirely human anymore," Draven gasped. He wasn't just the key. He was part Zuran. Back in the sky, Aerolith let out a scream that split the air. Wings of light burst from her back. Her hands formed twin blades of memory, and she stabbed the titan in the chest, piercing, the corruption at its core. The creature fell. The shockwave shattered mountain cliffs and knocked over Draven and the colonists. And then, silence. Aerolith floated down slowly. Her body flickered with fading energy. She collapsed into Draven's arms. I didn't mean to, she whispered weakly. You saved them, he said, holding her close. No, not saved, only delayed. That wasn't their leader. Draven asked. Then who's leading them? She opened her eyes. My sister. That night, Aerolith rested, while Draven sat by the fire with the colonists. They brought him food, wrapped his bruised hands, and asked questions. Is she really an alien queen? Is she still alive? Will the monsters come back? Draven didn't know all the answers, but he gave them hope. She's not done yet, he said, and neither are we. As he looked up at the stars, the memory crystal pulsed once, more in his hand. This time he didn't fear it. He understood now. He wasn't just part of the prophecy. He was half of it, a human beside the throne. The stars were no longer quiet. After the Titan's fall, the galaxy began to stir. The Voidwalkers were moving, old enemies awakened, and on every hidden frequency, one message echoed. The flame walks again. In the Bu Earth colony, Aerolith slept under heavy guard, her body still recovering. Her final strike had drained her. She had saved thousands but burned through her strength like a dying sun. Draven sat beside her, the memory crystal in his lap, glowing. Faintly, the colonists called her a goddess now. Some called her a savior. But to him, she was still Aerolith, the girl who once spoke to him in dreams and made his heart race without saying a word. He looked at her hand resting on the blanket. He wanted to hold it. He didn't. Suddenly she stirred, eyes opening slowly, a faint smile on her lips. You're still here, she said, voice soft. I told you, Draven said. I'm not leaving you. She blinked a few times, then sat up with effort. You held the crystal again. Yeah. And I saw my mother. My real one, Draven said. She wasn't from Earth. Aerolith nodded. I know. You knew this whole time? I felt it, she said. The first moment I touched your mind. He leaned closer. Why didn't you tell me? Because you had to choose it yourself. You had to accept who you are, and who you're meant to be. Draven looked down at the crystal. So what now? Aerolith's eyes turned serious. Now, we end it. They left the colony the next morning. The people gave them food, fuel, and a promise. If you ever return, one elder said, you'll have a place to call home. Aerolith smiled faintly. Thank you, but I must return to mine first. The journey to Zura Prime, the ruined throne world, was long and dangerous. The closer they got, the more warnings they received. Ships had vanished. Systems had gone dark. The Voidwalkers were gathering. But Aerolith wasn't afraid, and neither was Draven. Inside the ship's core, the memory crystal pulsed stronger with each passing hour. The throne had called it home, and it was finally coming back. Zura Prime was no longer a world of beauty. The once golden palace was now blackened with ash. Statues had fallen. Rivers were dry. The sky itself was cracked and glowing with storms, and there at the steps of the broken throne stood her sister, tall, cold, beautiful, and cruel. Her name was Vedra. She wore a crown made of bones. Well, well, Vedra said, her voice echoing unnaturally. The sleeper awakens, and with a pet. Draven stepped forward. Say that again. Vedra laughed. How amusing. Does he think himself royal now? Aerolith stood tall, voice calm. He is more than royal. He's the future. A bridge between what was lost and what's coming next. Vedra's smile faded. You brought the human key. Aerolith nodded. And the key turns now. The battle didn't start with weapons. It started with words, ancient commands spoken in the Zuran tongue. Words that shaped reality, unlocked power, and summoned the old defenses of the palace. Statues rose. Ghosts of the past awakened. The planet remembered its queen. Vedra screamed, unleashing a wave of darkness. Aerolith caught it with her bare hands. Draven, standing in the center of the throne room, raised the crystal high. It shattered, releasing. Light so bright the shadows peeled off the walls. Phaedra shrieked as the storm took her. When it ended, silence fell again. The throne stood empty. Until Aerolith stepped forward, but she didn't sit. She turned to Draven. "I don't want to rule alone," she said. He looked surprised. "What?" "You stood by me when I was weak. You believed when I had no proof. You fought when you could have fled. That's more than a king. That's a partner." Draven blinked. "You want me to?" "I want you beside me, not just in the palace, in my life." He smiled. "You really want a half-human mutt beside a queen?" She stepped closer. "You're not a mutt. You're the bridge between two worlds, and I trust you. With everything." He looked at her hand. This time, he took it. Later, as the stars shined again, the galaxy began to heal. The Void Walkers retreated. Old empires stirred. And on every world, where people still whispered of legends, a new story was told. Of the alien princess who slept for 300 years, and the human whose touch changed everything.